All right, Axis. So I've been using this Axis pedal, this very one, for 20 years, and it's had extensive upgrades. You know, Current gen heel block, this carbon fiber longboard. Obviously, this is an ACD beater, micro tune spring assembly. Plus, the bearings have been replaced, so it's this here, the main column and the base plate are pretty much the only things that are stock on this. And of course, I've got the Axis E-kits, which are the best thing about this pedal. They're going to be the hardest thing to give up when moving to the ACD Darwin. But just to explain a little bit about why I'm leaving Axis, and it's less to do with the pedal itself and more to do with the customer service and the people who have taken over the company who just... I had a couple of good experiences when buying some parts for my pedal and then a couple of bad ones. And it's just, I don't know, they suck, basically. They're a bunch of shitheads, and they have kind of run Axis' reputation into the ground a little bit with their extremely poor customer service. And not just myself. I consider myself lucky with the interactions I've had with them, but some people, it's just, you can't go into a thread on Reddit or, type the word Axis pedals into Google and not get a bunch of feedback about how bad the customer service is these days. Anyway, that said, the Axis A was introduced, I think, in the early 90s. And it caught on with the death metal, extreme metal drummers of the mid 90s into the 2000s and has been, pretty much the iconic, classic, extreme metal bass drum pedal up until this very day, really. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of amazing players still use this. Like me, though, I felt it was time to move on because this just does not give me the flexibility to set it up the way I want to. And it's very simple, but again, it was also the very first modern direct drive. And I mean, you really have very few options. So it's designed for speed. And basically, okay, this is the Micro Tune spring assembly, which is kind of a later edition. I think this came out in 2012. So you can tighten and loosen this the spring with a drum key here instead of having to, like a traditional pedal and like the way this used to be, you'd have to pull this down and there's a wing nut on the bottom here and it just really sucked. You have to get on your hands and knees and it was just really painful even because of the sharp edges on that. So this was like a great upgrade. And, but basically you've got 3 adjustments on this. It's spring tension, beater angle, and footboard height, which is also linked together. Like there's no way to say if you want the beater to be closer to the head, but you want the footboard to be higher, there's just no way to do that. They're linked together by this direct drive linkage, which is the thing that makes this pedal different. A traditional pedal uses a chain and sprocket design or a strap and sprocket design, and this is a direct link between the footboard and the cam, or in this case, the number 1 is what they call it. It's ball bearings here and there, so it's super smooth. And the reason it's called direct drive is because there's a direct relationship between the beater and the footboard. There's no rotation, no slack. And that lends itself to the, extremely high speeds that, the death metal guys are known for. So you've got your spring tension, which maxed out, it's the only way to be. So it doesn't matter how much adjustment range you have. You always max out your speed, your spring tension for the quickest rebound possible. Okay. Your beater angle and footboard height are just kind of right in the middle there to close to a 45-degree angle. And then the variable drive lever, which with this, you can loosen this and slide this along this pin, which controls how heavy or how light it feels. And so if you're playing fast, maxed it out all the way forward. You never even mess with it. It's just, that's it. This is the only way to set up an Axis. If you want to play fast, this worked great for everything I had done up, from 2005 when I got these pedals until the last band I was in, 5 or 6 years ago. So the thing is, though, it's like I don't play that style of music anymore. I don't play 250 BPMs and up. I just don't play that fast anymore, and I really don't have any interest in it. When I get back into playing with a band and such, I'm gonna probably, I don't know, look for something more like, I don't know, post-metal, sludge, stoner, doom, hard rock. I mean, that's just, and metal, of course, always, I'm always going to use double bass in my playing and such. I just don't really need this to be, you know what I mean? I just don't need like speed and speed only anymore. And the thing about Axis pedals is they're great for speed, but they're really not great for slower playing, for more. They just don't feel great. They don't feel great, and you can't make them feel how you want them to, because it's either this or nothing, pretty much. And so that's why I'm switching to the ACD Darwins, which I'll demonstrate a little bit later. But there's just so many adjustments on that. You can make it feel however you want. You can play fast and you can play powerful. You can do it all with that. And for someone like me, like I'm a very detail oriented. I go down rabbit holes and I never come out. So, fucking with that thing for hours. But I look forward to it, So Axis had dominated the market for 15 years. They were unchallenged since the mid-90s up until 2007 or so, when the Trick Pro 1V, or Pro V1, I think it's Pro 1V. When that came out, it was the only other like machined aluminum, precision, high-tech direct drive pedal. And I had the opportunity to try it because I had a very close relationship with Trick back then, because of my drum kit and stuff. And I actually they were great, don't get me wrong, I loved them, but I just wasn't prepared to give up my Axis to switch to those. But the thing is, they have not changed in all that time. There's been a couple of slight improvements. For instance, this micro tune that I mentioned earlier, this spring assembly, which is great, but this came out in like 2012, and they just remained unchanged for a really long time. And so other designs have kind of left them in the dust, and that's kind of the way I feel about it now. I never thought I'd say this, but an Axis pedal is a compromise today, and it just wasn't that way. Like I said, they had, the only game in town for a very long time when it comes to like the, high-end, precision manufactured, machined aluminum direct drive pedal. And like I said, even though I'm moving up, I still have like a little bit of a heavy heart doing it. But the biggest thing for me is this. The E-Kit is what this E-Kit trigger system is just the best on the market, and it has not been, in my opinion. I've seen all the other designs as far as the pedal-based triggers, and I even did a video on the precision kicks, the footboard activated triggers, and in my opinion, nothing can touch this. This is, for a lot of reasons, it's just best. And so for me, that's the hardest thing to leave behind. Even though ACD has their own, they've got their own trigger, which I have, that I'm going to install on my Darwins. Let's see here. It's a base plate mounted trigger, but even with the quality and the manufacturing of this trigger, I just feel like nothing can compare to the E-Kits. So yeah, so for me, that's going to be the hardest thing to leave behind and get used to a new system. But I'm still looking forward to it because, these have served me well, and I'm ready to move on.